The Galaxy Council seized human children. Humanity broke 15,000 years of peace. The galaxy had never seen anything like Earth. It was a small blue planet, quiet in the dark space, yet full of life and hope. Humans lived there, unaware of the dangers waiting beyond their solar system. For 15,000 years, humans had kept peace with other species. They traded, they explored, but they never fought. Other empires sometimes looked down on them. They thought humans were weak, slow, and simple. No one imagined that humans remembered everything. On a colony far from Earth, in a system called Viridia, council ships appeared without warning. They moved silently, their black hulls shining under the stars. People were going about their daily lives, children laughing and running through streets. Parents prepared meals, teachers taught lessons, engineers worked on machines. Suddenly, the sky was filled with council vessels, bigger than any human craft. Lieutenant Sarah Miller, who worked at the colony's small space station, watched them arrive. She could not believe her eyes. "What are they doing here?" she whispered to herself. The council ships did not answer. No warning, no message. Only a silent fleet that blocked the sun for hours. Humans on the ground panicked. Families tried to hide, but council soldiers moved with precision. They entered homes, schools, and playgrounds. They did not speak the humans' language, but it did not matter. Their weapons, though calm in appearance, gave humans no choice. They seized children, 5, 6, 10 at a time, taking them from their parents' arms. Children screamed, calling for their mothers and fathers, but council forces would not stop. In the colony's central square, Mayor Lisa Carson tried to reason with the invaders. "Please, you cannot take our children," she cried. Her voice shook. Her hands clutched a small communicator, hoping for help from Earth. But the council did not care. They were acting under ancient laws, laws written long before humans reached the stars. They claimed that these children had traits important to galactic science. Other species believed the council. They nodded quietly and did nothing. On Earth, President Elena Moore watched the live feed from the colony. Her eyes were tired, but her mind was sharp. She saw the fear on the parents' faces, the tears of children being taken. She could feel every heartbeat through the screen. She did not scream. She did not cry in public. She spoke softly to the world. "We will bring our children home," she said. The words were calm, but they carried a promise heavier than any weapon. In the council chambers, Ambassador Lucas Gray tried to warn his peers. "Humans will not accept this," he said. His voice echoed through the metal walls. "They have kept peace for 15,000 years, yes. But they value their children more than peace itself. If we take them, they will act." The council members shook their heads. They had seen many young species panic before. Humans were just another race. They could be ignored. Back on Viridia, families tried to fight. They grabbed whatever they could, tools, sticks, old guns. The council soldiers moved easily around them. Some parents threw themselves at the ships, trying to stop the children from being taken. In a few cases, they were thrown aside like rag dolls. Children were carried into waiting shuttles. The air was filled with screams and shouts. Sarah Miller ran from house to house, calling out names. She tried to hold one boy, 10 years old, named Timothy, but a council officer pulled him away. "No," she shouted. "Please, you cannot do this." The officer said nothing. His face was emotionless. The night came, but the ships did not leave. The colony was in shock. Fires burned where homes had been raided. Streets were empty. Only the shadows moved under the lights of the council fleet. Parents held each other, some crying silently, others staring at the sky, hoping that someone would stop this. On Earth, Military Commander Ryan Cole prepared human ships for departure. The fleets were not meant to fight the council. They were meant to protect. But he knew, deep inside, that humans would have to act. Humanity had a history, long hidden. Humans had kept peace, yes, but they had also survived attacks far worse than this. Ryan looked at his crew, young men and women who had trained their entire lives. He said quietly, "We are not weak. We will bring them home." The crew nodded. They understood the promise. It was simple, yet heavier than the largest cannon they had ever built. Scientists on Earth, people like Dr. Lisa Harper, studied the situation. They saw the genetic files of children taken, watched the council try to justify their actions. They saw the errors in the council's reasoning. Children were human, unique, full of potential, not just numbers or research specimens. The council did not understand this. No empire had ever seen humans act for their own. They had underestimated the simplest of drives, love for family. Back on Viridia, the human children were in council custody. Some were scared, some angry, some crying. Captain John Carter, leading a small group of human peacekeepers, observed the ships. They could not yet fight, but they could study. He noted the guards' movements, the paths, the schedules. Each detail was important. Humans were patient. They waited, not because they were afraid, but because they planned. Among the council, debate grew heated. Some members began to whisper, "Perhaps Gray is right. Humans may act." The older members laughed. 15,000 years of peace, they said. Humans would not risk their ships or their lives. Ambassador Gray frowned. He knew they did not understand humanity. 15,000 years of peace meant humans had been careful, not weak. They had avoided war until it was necessary. Now, necessity was coming. On the colonies, parents slept little. They whispered to each other, hoping that their children were unharmed. Sarah Miller stayed at the space station, watching the council ships, taking notes of every movement. She spoke to herself quietly. "We cannot give up. They will come back." In the dark of night, small signals were sent to Earth. Hope, like fireflies, moved across space. The council believed they had control. They did not see the anger growing in human hearts. Anger mixed with love, patience, and intelligence. Humans remembered history, not as stories, but as lessons. They remembered every attack, every unfair war, every moment where they had been underestimated. They remembered that peace was not weakness, and now peace was being tested. President Moore addressed the world again. "Do not panic," she said. "Our children are alive. We will bring them home. This is not war yet, but it may become war if we are forced. We act for one reason only, the safety of our children. We do not act to destroy. We act to protect. Every child is worth more than a star system." Across the galaxy, humans watched. Scientists, traders, pilots, families. They saw the calm, and they understood the promise. It was simple, basic, human. Nothing mattered more than family. Even empires could not ignore it. And for the first time in 15,000 years, humans prepared to act. They did not shout. They did not threaten. They studied. They planned. And they waited. Every moment was counted. Every detail remembered. Because humanity had broken peace before, yes, but only when the stakes were this high. Only when family was threatened. Only when children were taken. In the dark of space, council ships glided like silent predators. But humans were no longer naive. They watched, they counted, and they waited. When the moment came, it would not be a small act of violence. It would be a statement that no empire, no council, no race could take what humans held most dear. They would not fight to destroy, but they would fight to protect. And the galaxy would remember. The night ended. The first day of human resistance began quietly, without fire, without guns. But within hearts, every parent, every soldier, every citizen knew. The peace of 15,000 years had ended. And the council had not seen the human storm waiting to reclaim what was theirs. The news of the council's actions reached every corner of Earth. Families watched the feeds with fear and anger. Children who were safe at home cried for those taken. People remembered the faces of friends, neighbors, and relatives who had vanished. The world seemed smaller, closer, as every citizen felt the pain of parents across the stars. President Elena Moore addressed the Earth again. Her voice was calm, but firm. "We will not allow our children to be taken. We will act, but we will act wisely. Every life matters, and every child will return home." At the Earth Command Center, Commander Ryan Cole studied the reports. Council ships were faster, larger, and more advanced than any human vessel. They had weapons that could destroy cities in seconds. Yet Ryan was not afraid. He understood the humans. Humans survived by thinking, by learning, by being patient. He gathered his team. Captain John Carter, a veteran of human space missions, looked at him quietly. "We cannot rush in blindly," Ryan said. "We must know their strengths, their weaknesses. We fight to save children, not to prove power." Scientist Dr. Lisa Harper worked in the research labs. She analyzed data from the colonies, studying the Council's technology. The ships had shields, faster-than-light engines, and automated defenses. But she noticed something important. The Council underestimated humans. Their patterns were predictable. They assumed humans were passive. Dr. Harper smiled softly. They think humans are simple, she said. But humans remember. Humans adapt. On the colony of Viridia, parents who had survived the initial raid whispered to each other. They shared stories of courage. Sarah Miller, the lieutenant who had tried to save Timothy, became a leader. She organized small resistance groups, teaching them to avoid Council patrols, to send hidden signals to Earth, and to keep hope alive. She told them, "We cannot stop them completely, but we can buy time. We can help our children survive until Earth comes for them." The Council believed they were in control. They placed the children in secure facilities on massive ships orbiting far from the colonies. The children were frightened, but some began to notice patterns. They whispered to each other, sharing what they saw. One boy, Ethan, watched the guards carefully. He noticed that the guards always changed shifts at the same time. A girl named Claire discovered a weak spot in the door's locking system. Even children, simple and small, began to plan quietly. Humans learned early that survival required observation. Back on Earth, President Moore called a meeting with her top leaders. Generals, scientists, pilots, and diplomats sat around a large table. She spoke slowly, making sure every word was heard. "We have never wanted war," she said. "We have survived for 15,000 years by choosing peace. But now our children are in danger. The Council has forced our hand. We act not for conquest, not for revenge, but to bring them home safely." Commander Cole outlined the plan. First, human intelligence teams would infiltrate Council networks to learn locations of the children. Second, specialized fleets would prepare for rescue missions. Third, diplomatic messages would be sent to the Council, warning them of consequences if they harmed a single child. Every step was measured, every move deliberate. Humans did not rush. They planned like a chess master moving pieces across a board. Meanwhile, Ambassador Lucas Gray warned the Council again. "Humans are preparing," he said. "They may not attack immediately, but they will act. If you continue, there will be consequences beyond your understanding." Some Council members laughed, dismissing him. Others felt a small unease. They had never seen humans respond like this. 15,000 years of peace had lulled them into belief that humans could be ignored. Ambassador Gray knew they were wrong. The human fleets began moving quietly. They did not make announcements. They did not fire first. They crossed distant space at speeds that even the Council found difficult to track. Captain John Carter led a reconnaissance group, studying patrol routes and shield patterns. Every movement was recorded, every signal intercepted. Humans did not fear the Council's technology. They respected it, studied it, and found gaps to exploit. On Viridia, parents continued their work. Sarah Miller guided small groups through forests, teaching them to hide, move, and survive. They left messages for the children in hidden places, small notes that the children could find. Hope became a weapon as strong as any gun. Each day, children learned to trust themselves, to be alert, and to remember their names, their families, and their homes. These lessons would be important for the rescue teams when they arrived. In the Council chambers, debate grew heated. Some members argued that humans were too dangerous. "They have never attacked us in 15,000 years, said one elder. "Why should we fear them now?" Another counselor replied, "Because they love their children more than peace. They will do what no empire has ever done." Whispers moved through the room. The Council had never seen humans act for family before. They had underestimated what humans would do for their own. On Earth, Dr. Lisa Harper worked with engineers to modify ships. They added new sensors, faster engines, and adaptive shields. Every design considered the Council's tactics. They tested simulations for weeks, planning for every possible scenario. Every engineer, pilot, and soldier understood the goal: save the children without unnecessary bloodshed. Humans had patience. They had skill. And, above all, they had determination. President Moore visited families who had children taken. She spoke with mothers and fathers, holding their hands, listening to their fears. She told them, "We will bring them home. Trust in our people. Trust in your children. They are strong, and so are we. The families wept quietly. They did not see weapons. They did not see ships. They saw hope, and hope became courage. On the council ships, the children began to whisper to each other. They learned to watch the guards, to note schedules, and to signal secretly. Ethan and Claire became leaders among the children, sharing information and creating small strategies. They had not yet escaped, but they were learning to survive. Even in captivity, they practiced patience. Humans remembered everything, even when young. Commander Cole and Captain Carter prepared fleets for movement. Small teams were assigned to reconnaissance missions first. They avoided council sensors and traps. Each mission returned with valuable information: patrol paths, shield weaknesses, and supply routes. The council thought they were hiding from humans. In truth, humans were studying, preparing, and waiting for the perfect moment to act. The council sent messages to Earth, demanding compliance, and warning humans to stand down. President Moore read the message carefully. She responded with a single statement, clear and simple: "Our children are not yours. Return them, or we will act to bring them home." She did not threaten war. She did not make promises of destruction. She only stated truth. Humans did not give up what was theirs. Across the galaxy, humans watched and waited. Families on distant colonies sent signals through secret channels. Engineers and scientists monitored council networks. Pilots moved in silent formation, preparing for movement. Every human understood the rule: protect life first, act second. Every life was important, but children were sacred. This simple rule guided every decision, every plan, and every action. The first day of preparation ended quietly. No shots were fired, no ships destroyed. Yet humans had acted. They had moved fleets, studied enemies, trained children, and gathered intelligence. The galaxy did not notice. The council believed humans were still passive. But the humans were awake, patient, and ready. On Viridia, Sarah Miller and the parents watched the stars at night. They whispered to each other, "Help is coming." They believed it, and their belief spread to the children. Hope was no longer simple. It was strong. It was a force that even the council could not measure. President Moore addressed the world one last time before action began. "We do not want war. We do not want conquest. We want our children. This is our mission, our duty, and our promise. Nothing will stop us. We will bring them home." The words traveled across space, carried by signals, felt in hearts, and understood by all humans. And, in the dark, across the void between stars, human ships began to move silently. They did not attack. They did not shout. They did not reveal their full strength. They waited, prepared, and calculated. Patience was their greatest weapon, and determination was their shield. The council had underestimated humanity, and they had begun a mistake that would change the galaxy forever. The first phase of humanity's plan was complete. Fleets were in position. Children had survived. Hidden signals reached Earth, and hope burned bright. The galaxy did not know it yet, but humans had remembered history, learned its lessons, and were ready to act. 15,000 years of peace had ended, not with a roar, but with a promise. No empire would ever take human children again. That humanity had waited, watched, and prepared. Now the time had come to act. Commander Ryan Cole looked out at the fleet gathered in the hidden human station near the edge of council space. Ships of all sizes floated silently, lights dimmed, engines humming softly. Every crew member knew the mission: rescue the children, avoid unnecessary deaths, and show the galaxy the strength of human determination. Captain John Carter stood next to Ryan, reviewing the final plans. "We know their patrols, we know the schedules, and we know the weak points in their defenses," John said quietly. "This is not just a rescue. It is a statement. They have taken our children, and we will act to bring them home." Ryan nodded. "Remember, no unnecessary destruction. Our strength is in precision, patience, and courage. Nothing more." Far away, the council watched their own fleets. They were confident. After 15,000 years of peace, they believed humans would not act. But Ambassador Lucas Gray grew uneasy. "They are moving," he warned. "Humans are not attacking yet, but they are preparing. They are calculating. If you continue to hold the children, you will face consequences. The council elders dismissed him. Humans had never fought the council. What harm could they do now? On Viridia, Sarah Miller prepared the families for what was coming. She taught them to move silently, to communicate without being seen, and to leave messages for the children. Parents hid in shadows, carrying supplies and tools. They whispered to their children, telling them to stay calm, to remember their families, and to watch for help. The fear in their eyes was real, but it was mixed with hope. Humans never lost hope. The children, still in council custody, began to notice the first signs of human action. Ethan and Claire, the two leaders among them, watched the guards carefully. They saw ships moving in unusual patterns outside the windows, signals that indicated humans were close. They did not fully understand the technology, but they understood the meaning. Humans were coming. The children whispered to each other, their hearts beating with a mixture of fear and excitement. On Earth, President Elena Moore spoke to the human people. She did not issue threats. She did not demand war. She only reminded them of the goal. Our children are our future. We act to protect them, nothing more. Our strength lies not in weapons, but in our unity, our courage, and our love. Every citizen, every soldier, every parent is part of this mission. Across the globe, people listened, prayed, and waited. Humans had never fought the council before, but they had always protected their own. The first human ships crossed into council territory quietly. Scout ships moved ahead, observing patrols, noting positions, and recording every movement. The council noticed some small signals, but dismissed them as normal anomalies. They did not understand that these signals were the start of a large human operation. Humans had studied their patterns for weeks. They were ready. Captain John Carter led the first rescue team. Their ship approached a council transport holding dozens of children. The shields were strong, but humans had discovered a pattern. The council rotated their energy distribution at certain intervals. John timed the approach perfectly. The ship slipped past sensors, silent, precise. No alarms sounded. Every movement was deliberate. Every second counted. On Viridia, Sarah Miller coordinated with hidden communication nodes. She sent signals to the children, giving them small instructions. Watch the doors, she whispered into a transmitter. Wait for the signal. Do not panic. Help is coming. Children like Ethan and Claire listened carefully. They learned to move quietly, to note the guards' positions, and to stay alert. Humans never waited for luck. They relied on observation, intelligence, and timing. Inside the council transport, guards noticed nothing unusual. They followed their usual routines, unaware that human ships were outside, preparing for rescue. Captain Carter deployed small drones to open locks and create access points. The drones worked quietly, slicing through doors and bypassing security systems. Children watched with wide eyes as their first chance at freedom arrived. The moment of action came. Human teams entered council ships simultaneously at multiple locations. They moved with speed and coordination that the council had never seen. Humans did not fire indiscriminately. They subdued guards, opened cages, and guided children to safe zones. Every child was accounted for, every signal checked. Precision was key, not destruction. The council's confidence began to falter as humans executed their plan flawlessly. Back on Earth, Commander Ryan Cole monitored the operation. Screens displayed every movement. Ships, drones, and rescue teams coordinated like a single organism. He spoke to the teams quietly, giving instructions and encouragement. Stay calm, follow the plan, and remember why we are here. Every child matters. The teams responded with discipline, moving quickly and carefully through council ships. On Viridia, families watched hidden from view. They could hear the distant hum of human engines, the signals of drones in space. Parents whispered prayers, tears in their eyes. They knew the rescue was happening. Hope, like a growing fire, spread through the shadows. Humans had come for their children. They would not fail. Captain John Carter guided a group of children through the corridors of a council ship. Ethan and Claire led the way, remembering every instruction from Sarah Miller. The children were scared, but courage grew with each step. Human rescuers encouraged them, whispering quietly, "Stay close, keep moving, we are here for you." The children felt safety for the first time since being taken. The council scrambled to respond. Alarms blared across some ships. Guards ran, trying to stop human teams. But humans had prepared for every scenario. They moved faster, smarter, and with purpose. Every rescue team communicated through secure channels, coordinating movements, and avoiding unnecessary conflict. The council could not predict human precision. They had never faced humans acting not out of war, but out of love. Outside the council fleet, human scout ships monitored patrols. They created distractions, sending false signals, and drawing attention away from rescue operations. The council tried to chase these signals, believing they were threats. Human ships did not attack. They only created openings for their teams inside. The council was confused, frustrated, and slowly realizing their mistake. Humans were not simple. Humans were unstoppable when protecting what they loved. The first children were freed. They ran into human transport shuttles, guided by rescuers. Fear turned into relief, relief into joy. Parents who had been watching through hidden signals wept as their children returned. The human teams worked quickly to recover every child, moving from ship to ship, corridor to corridor. No one was left behind. Every human life mattered. On Earth, President Moore received live updates. She watched children reunited with their families, tears on faces, smiles breaking through weeks of fear. She did not celebrate. She knew the mission was not over. Some children were still on council ships farther away. She reminded the teams, every life matters. Keep moving. Bring them all home. Humans had patience, endurance, and skill. No distance, no enemy, no obstacle could stop them. Captain Carter led the final group to a distant council vessel holding the last children. The ship was heavily guarded, but humans had studied every pattern. Drones opened access points, human teams moved through corridors, and children were guided to safe zones. The council tried to block them, but humans adapted instantly, finding new paths, new solutions. No plan of the council could hold against human determination. The rescue completed, human teams gathered all the children aboard transport ships. They moved quickly to safe zones in human-controlled space. Every child was accounted for, every detail checked. Parents on Viridia watched from hiding, relief washing over them like a tide. The council had underestimated humans, and they had paid the price. In council chambers, panic spread. Alarms blared, reports poured in. Ambassador Lucas Gray watched as the humans completed their operation flawlessly. He had warned the council, but they had not listened. The council elders realized that humans were not passive, not weak, not simple. Humans remembered history, learned its lessons, and acted with courage and intelligence. They could not be ignored. On Earth, President Moore addressed the people. Her voice was steady, calm, and strong. Our children are safe. We have acted with care, with courage, and with precision. No empire can take what is ours. Humans have shown the galaxy what it means to protect what is loved most. This is only the beginning of a new understanding. We do not fight for war. We fight for life. Across the galaxy, humans celebrated quietly, not with violence, not with conquest, but with hope. Children returned to their families, families reunited, and human fleets prepared for the next phase. The council had learned a lesson they would never forget. Humans were dangerous not because they sought war, but because they would never allow harm to those they loved. And in the silent reaches of space, human ships moved with purpose, ready for whatever came next. 15,000 years of peace had ended, not with destruction, but with action. Humanity had reminded the galaxy that it was not to be underestimated, that love for family was a force stronger than any weapon, and that no council could control the heart of a human, that the council had underestimated humans, and now they were paying the price. Across council space, alarms blared. Fleets scrambled to chase human ships, but the humans moved with precision. Every step had been planned, every movement calculated. Captain John Carter led his fleet quietly, avoiding traps, bypassing patrols, and keeping children safe in transport ships. The council fired at shadows, but humans had already adapted. They were not reckless. They were unstoppable in patience and skill. Commander Ryan Cole observed the council's response from Earth Command. The Council sent dozens of ships to block escape routes, but humans had already predicted these moves. They think they can trap us? Ryan said, pointing to a map of patrol routes. They do not understand that humans act for what they love. They cannot calculate our determination. Engineers and pilots worked in harmony, adjusting shields, plotting escape paths, and coordinating rescue teams. Every human acted like a single organism. On Viridia, parents who had survived hid from Council forces while human teams moved children to safety. Sarah Miller organized secret paths, guiding families through forests, caves, and tunnels. She whispered instructions to each group. Stay low, stay quiet, follow the signals. Help is near. The parents moved cautiously, carrying supplies, ensuring that no child was left behind. Hope, like a flame, burned brightly in their hearts. Inside Council ships, confusion spread. Guards ran from corridor to corridor, unsure where humans would strike next. Ethan and Claire, among the rescued children, watched quietly. They had witnessed humans act with courage, planning, and speed. They learned an important lesson. Humans never left anyone behind. Even young children could understand the importance of careful observation, timing, and teamwork. The Council, desperate to regain control, deployed a massive fleet to cut off human transport ships. They expected humans to fight openly, to respond with weapons. But humans had never acted like other races. They did not seek war. They moved silently, avoiding direct confrontations while using intelligence, speed, and strategy. Captain Carter split his fleet into small groups, creating confusion and opening paths for escape. Every maneuver was precise, every second counted. On Earth, President Elena Moore addressed the people and families. The Council is reacting, but we will not be reckless. Every child is safe. Every life is precious. Humans have shown that love is stronger than fear. We act for our children, not for war. But we will not back down. No empire has ever understood what humans will do to protect their own. The words spread across colonies, carrying hope, courage, and determination. In the void of space, human and Council fleets danced like predators and prey. The Council fired weapons blindly, trying to stop transport ships carrying rescued children. Human ships moved through gaps and shields, guided by the experience of pilots who had studied Council tactics for weeks. Small attacks distracted the Council, while larger groups secured escape paths. No human ship fired without reason. Precision, patience, and protection of life guided every action. Back on Viridia, hidden paths were full of movement. Parents and small human teams guided children toward safe zones. Sarah Miller coordinated signals to ensure no group was lost. She whispered instructions. Watch the horizon, move quickly, stay together. Humans are here. You will be safe. The children obeyed, learning to trust human rescuers, to believe in protection and planning. Even in fear, courage grew. The Council's elder members panicked. They had thought humans were passive, slow, and simple. Now they saw fleets moving with purpose, drones disabling ships, transport vessels carrying children safely. The Council could not predict the movements. Human strategy was beyond calculation. Ambassador Lucas Gray warned them again. Humans are not just reacting. They are teaching a lesson. They value family more than peace, more than law, more than life itself. If you continue, you will face consequences beyond your understanding. Human scouts moved ahead of transport ships, observing Council fleets. They intercepted communication, creating confusion and misdirection. Council ships fired at false targets while humans quietly passed through escape corridors. Captain Carter's team guided children, reassured them, and kept them calm. Stay together, watch each other, follow us, he whispered. Even young children learned to move carefully and stay alert. Humans trained for life, not just survival. On Earth, Commander Ryan Cole directed the main fleet. Humans had planned every detail, but the Council continued to react. They could not predict all possibilities, and humans used this to their advantage. Small strikes disabled Council weapons, shields, and engines without killing personnel. Humans acted to protect, not destroy. The Council was frustrated. They had expected chaos and surrender. Instead, they found humans acting with intelligence, patience, and love. In one council transport, a group of children led by Ethan and Claire reached the upper deck. Human teams guided them through corridors and opened exit points. Alarms blared, but humans moved faster. Council soldiers tried to block them, but human teams were prepared, using non-lethal methods to subdue guards. Every child was brought safely to waiting shuttles. Relief filled their hearts. Hope was no longer a whisper, it was a roar. Outside, human ships created diversions. Small attack groups disabled council sensors and engines without causing deaths. Human crews communicated through secure channels, guiding transport ships to safety. The council could not follow, could not predict, and could not stop the flow of rescued children. They realized too late that humans were not to be underestimated. On Viridia, Sarah Miller guided parents and hidden groups through forests and tunnels. They avoided patrols, reached safe zones, and reunited with children delivered by human teams. Families wept quietly, holding children, thanking rescuers. Hope and courage spread like wildfire. Even in fear, humans acted decisively, protecting life and teaching the council a lesson in humility. Captain John Carter's final team reached the largest council transport, carrying the last children. The ship was heavily guarded, but humans had studied every detail. Drones opened doors, human teams moved carefully through corridors, and children followed instructions. Council forces tried to resist, but humans had planned for every scenario. No child was left behind. Every step was precise, every move deliberate. The council scrambled to respond, but humans were faster. Transport ships carrying children moved to safe zones outside council control. The fleets provided cover, scouts created diversions, and human teams coordinated from Earth Command. The council realized too late that humans were not merely reacting. They were leading the operation with intelligence, patience, and determination. President Moore addressed the world as the last children reached safety. Every child is home. Every life is safe. We have acted with courage, care, and precision. The council underestimated us. They assumed we would not act. We have shown the galaxy that humans protect what they love, no matter the cost. Across colonies, families celebrated quietly, tears and relief washing over them. Humans had not sought war, but they had acted with power beyond what the council could comprehend. The council's fleets retreated in confusion. They had lost control, failed to stop humans, and underestimated the strength of a race that acted for love, for family, and for survival. Ambassador Lucas Gray watched, silent and fearful. He knew the council had made a grave mistake. Humans were not passive, humans were not weak, and humans would not forgive the taking of children. In the quiet of space, human fleets regrouped. Transport ships carrying children moved safely to human-controlled sectors. Scouts returned, reporting council positions and weaknesses. Commander Ryan Cole smiled quietly. Humans had acted not for revenge, not for power, but to protect life. Every step of the operation had followed the principle: save the children, protect life, and act with precision. On Viridia, parents held children close. Sarah Miller walked among them, whispering, "You are safe now. Humans have come for you. We will not let anyone harm you again." Children smiled, too young to understand everything, but old enough to feel the safety and courage of humans. Even in captivity, humans had learned to survive. Now, in freedom, they learned to trust again. The council elders realized their mistake. They had assumed peace meant weakness. They had assumed humans were simple. Now they understood. Humans remembered history, valued life, and would act with unmatched determination when family was threatened. 15,000 years of peace had ended, not with anger, but with action. Humans had shown the galaxy that love, courage, and intelligence could overcome fear, technology, and arrogance. Human fleets returned to safe zones, regrouping, preparing for the future. President Moore reminded everyone, "We act not for war, but for life." This is the lesson the council must learn. No one harms our children without consequence. Humans are patient, humans are strong, and humans protect what is theirs. Across the galaxy, humans understood the meaning. Unity, courage, and love for family were their greatest weapons. And, in the silence of space, the council watched, humbled, confused, and afraid. Humans had acted decisively, carefully, and courageously. Every child was safe, every life preserved, and every empire now understood a truth they had long ignored. Humans were not to be underestimated, and love for family was a force more powerful than any fleet or weapon that the council had been defeated, not by overwhelming force, but by the precision, patience, and courage of humans. Fleets retreated, shields down, weapons silent. Humans had rescued every child. They had acted decisively, but without unnecessary violence. Across human-controlled space, families reunited, tears of relief flowing freely. Parents held children close, whispering words of comfort. Humans had shown what it meant to protect life above all else. Commander Ryan Cole watched the fleet's return. Ships moved in quiet formation, engines humming steadily. No celebration, no triumphalism. Humans acted for duty, not glory. Yet he felt pride. 15,000 years of peace had ended, but not with war. It ended with courage, intelligence, and love. He spoke to Captain John Carter quietly. We did what we had to do. Every life matters. That is our strength. John nodded, looking at the stars beyond. They had reminded the galaxy that humans were not weak, not simple, and never careless when protecting what they loved. On Viridia, Sarah Miller walked among parents and children. Families hugged, whispered prayers, and shared quiet laughter. Even children who had been terrified began to smile again. Ethan and Claire, leaders among the rescued children, held hands, feeling the relief of safety. We are home, Ethan said softly. Claire nodded, tears in her eyes. Humans always come back for their own. It was a simple truth that no empire could ever forget. President Elena Moore addressed the galaxy. Her words were calm, firm, and measured. We have acted not for conquest, not for revenge, but for life. Humans value family above all else. No council, no empire, no force may take what we love without consequence. Today, we have reminded the galaxy of that truth. Across human worlds, citizens listened. They understood the message. Humans were strong, not because of weapons, but because of courage, unity, and care for life. Ambassador Lucas Gray spoke quietly to the council elders. You do not understand humans. They do not fight because they desire power. They fight because they protect. They have acted with intelligence, patience, and love. If you continue to test them, you will see their full strength. Your fleets are not the measure of their power. Your arrogance is. The council elders remained silent. They had learned, at last, what humans were capable of. Human fleets returned to Earth orbit, docking quietly. Ships were repaired, supplies replenished, and families reunited. Soldiers, pilots, and engineers shared quiet smiles. They had not sought war, but they had ensured that no child would be lost. Every team member understood the principle. Precision, patience, and protection of life had won the day. Humans had acted as one, and the galaxy had witnessed it. On Viridia, parents and children slowly rebuilt their homes. Schools reopened, markets resumed, and families laughed again. Sarah Miller remained to help coordinate recovery, ensuring that every child was safe and every family reunited. She whispered to herself, humans protect their own. Nothing will change that. Children played quietly in the streets, feeling safe for the first time in weeks. Humans had not only rescued them, they had taught them courage, patience, and hope. The council attempted to regroup. Fleets returned to command stations, alarms still echoing in empty corridors. Ambassador Gray warned again. Humans do not forgive easily. They do not forget. They act when family is threatened. Every empire in this galaxy should remember that humans are dangerous, not because they seek war, but because they protect life with unmatched determination. The council elders, now humbled, nodded silently. The lesson had been learned. On Earth, President Moore met with parents of rescued children. She listened to their stories, offered comfort, and reminded them of the mission's success. Your children are safe, she said softly. We have acted for what matters most. Humans will never allow harm to come to their own. Parents nodded, tears in their eyes. They had felt helpless before, but now hope and courage were restored. Humans had shown the galaxy that love could be stronger than fear, stronger than weapons, stronger than control. Captain John Carter visited rescued children personally, sharing small gifts and words of encouragement. "You were brave," he told them. "You watched, you listened, and you survived. Humans are strong because we protect life, and you have shown courage beyond your years." Children smiled, feeling the pride of being human. Even young minds understood the meaning of action guided by love and intelligence. Commander Ryan Cole addressed fleets one final time. "We have acted as one. We have rescued our children. No empire can take what humans hold dear. Remember this lesson. Humans act with precision, patience, and determination. Every life is sacred. Every family is protected. We do not fight for conquest. We fight for life." Across the galaxy, fleets of other species watched quietly. Humans had proven themselves beyond doubt. In council space, the galaxy whispered about humans. Older empires remembered the stories of the first humans, but now they had seen the reality. Humans were not reckless. Humans were not naive. Humans were strong because they valued life, courage, and family above all else. Even empires that had once ignored human potential now respected it. Humans had become a legend, feared not for hatred, but for love and determination. On Viridia, parents and children celebrated quietly. Families hugged, shared food, and laughed. Sarah Miller watched, satisfied. She knew the council would never try this again. Humans had acted decisively, saved lives, and restored peace on their own terms. Lessons of courage, patience, and protection would be remembered for generations. Humans had not only survived, they had triumphed morally, strategically, and emotionally. President Moore addressed the galaxy one last time. "Humans will not forget this day. We have acted with care, courage, and intelligence. Every child is safe. Every life is protected. Our mission has shown the galaxy a truth long ignored. Humans act for what they love, and that force cannot be measured by fleets or weapons. Let this be a warning and a promise." Humans across colonies and worlds listened, understanding the full meaning. The protection of life, family, and community was humanity's greatest weapon. Captain John Carter returned to his ship quietly. He looked at the stars, reflecting on the operation. Humans had acted carefully, intelligently, and courageously. They had not sought war, but they had shown that peace should never be taken for weakness. Humans were dangerous not because they desired war, but because they loved what mattered most. Every fleet, every empire, every council would now understand this truth. On Viridia, children played quietly in gardens and streets. Ethan and Claire led small groups, sharing stories of courage and survival. Parents watched, smiling quietly. Humans had not only rescued them, they had shown the meaning of courage, patience, and careful action. Even the youngest humans learned that their lives mattered, that their families mattered, and that humans would act decisively when necessary. The council, humbled and cautious, sent messages of peace and apology. They had learned that humans were not to be underestimated. No empire could take children without consequence. No council could control the hearts of humans. Ambassador Lucas Gray watched quietly, realizing that humanity had changed the balance of power forever. 15,000 years of peace had ended, but it had ended with humans reminding the galaxy of their strength, courage, and love. On Earth, President Moore stood before a gathering of leaders. "Our children are safe," she said. "We have acted not with hatred, not with greed, but with courage, care, and determination. Let the galaxy know, humans protect life above all else. No force, no empire, no council may take what is ours." The leaders nodded. Humans had acted decisively and morally. The lesson was clear. In human-controlled space, fleets returned to base, families reunited, and children laughed once more. Humans had acted with patience, intelligence, and love. The council had been humbled, the galaxy had learned, and the children were safe. Humanity had broken 15,000 years of peace, yes, but only to protect what was theirs. And in doing so, they had reminded every species in the galaxy why humans were feared, respected, and never underestimated. As the stars shone quietly above, humans reflected on what had happened. They had acted with care, courage, and precision. They had rescued their children, protected life, and sent a message that would echo for generations. Humans were not reckless, not naive, and not weak. They were determined, intelligent, and courageous. And every empire, every council, and every race in the galaxy would remember that humans fight not for power, but for what they love most. The galaxy had learned its final lesson. Humans may keep peace, but they will protect family above all else. No council could control them, no empire could underestimate them, and no force could take what humans held most dear. 15,000 years of peace had ended, but humanity had acted with honor, courage, and love. The galaxy would never forget.